A poor alien engineer saw the human ship. "My father died in one like this," he whispered softly. The mining city of Drellin was alive with motion. Flying vehicles zipped between crystal towers, and neon signs buzzed with alien letters he could barely read. Despite the bustling energy, Kelvar felt invisible. He was just another poor engineer, scraping by fixing broken drones and small engines for a few credits. He sighed. Another day, another machine to patch. Kelvar's life was simple, predictable, and lonely. His father had been an explorer, someone who had dared to venture beyond their home system. Kelvar had only vague memories of him, a smile, a laugh, and the stories he told of humans. One mission had taken his father far away, and he never returned. For years, Kelvar had wondered if he would ever see a human ship himself. That afternoon, something changed everything. A hum filled the sky, deep and resonant, different from the usual traffic of Drellin. The city paused for a moment, almost as if it had noticed something extraordinary. Kelvar's gaze followed the sound and froze. There, descending slowly between the towers, was a human ship. It was unlike anything Kelvar had ever imagined, sleek, smooth, glowing with soft blue light. Its hull shimmered, reflecting the city lights, and it moved with an elegance that made everything else seem clumsy by comparison. Kelvar's heart pounded. He had seen pictures of human vessels in old holorecords, but this was real. His legs moved before he even thought about it, carrying him closer to the landing site. Other aliens stared, murmuring to each other, but Kelvar barely noticed. His eyes were fixed on the ship, and then, quietly, he whispered to himself, "My father died in one like this." The words barely left his mouth before he realized what he had said. He had never spoken them aloud before. They carried a weight that made his chest ache. His father had vanished on a human expedition years ago, leaving Kelvar with only memories and a lingering hope that humans were more than the stories suggested. Now, seeing the ship, Kelvar felt a strange mix of fear and awe. The human crew began to descend from the ship. They moved gracefully, their motions precise but natural, and even from a distance, Kelvar could see their expressions, curious, confident, and calm. One of them, a woman with dark hair and a warm smile, glanced at the crowd and nodded. The aliens around them whispered nervously. Humans were known across the galaxy for their exploration and ingenuity, but they were also mysterious. Kelvar stayed at the edge of the crowd, small and unnoticed. He wanted to get closer but didn't want to draw attention to himself. Still, something pulled him forward, an invisible thread of curiosity and hope. He edged closer, careful to stay in the shadows, until he was just a few meters from the ship's hull. It was cooler than he expected, almost soft to the touch. He reached out instinctively and let his fingers brush the surface. The moment he did, the ship responded. A holographic interface flickered to life beneath his hand, glowing in soft blues and whites. Symbols and diagrams shifted and rearranged themselves in response to his touch, as if the ship recognized something in him. Kelvar froze. He had no training in human technology, yet the interface responded to him naturally. Heart pounding, he glanced around. A few of the human crew had noticed and were walking toward him, curiosity written on their faces. "Can you understand this?" one of them asked, her voice calm and gentle. She was tall but not intimidating, and her eyes shone with intelligence. Kelvar swallowed. I think so," he whispered. His fingers hovered over the interface, rearranging the symbols almost instinctively. "I don't know why, but it feels right." The woman smiled, a mixture of surprise and approval. "Most aliens can't even approach the interface without triggering alarms," she said. "You have a talent." Kelvar felt a strange warmth rise in his chest. For the first time in his life, someone saw him, not as a poor mechanic but as someone capable. He glanced at the other humans who were watching quietly and realized they weren't just polite, they were genuinely interested. "Who are you?" he asked, trying to keep his voice steady. "I'm Captain Alina," the woman replied, "and these are my crew." We're here to study the local energy sources, nothing more. You have a gift, engineer. Would you like to see how this ship works? Kelvar's heart nearly stopped. The idea of stepping aboard a human vessel was both thrilling and terrifying. He remembered his father who had dreamed of exploring the stars, and he felt a surge of determination. I would, he said softly. The humans led him toward a ramp that descended from the ship. As he stepped aboard, he was struck by the interior. It was simple yet elegant, functional yet beautiful. Every surface seemed designed to do a job without wasting space or energy. Screens and controls responded to gestures and thoughts, but they were intuitive, easy to understand if one approached them with curiosity rather than fear. Kelvar felt a mix of awe and humility. He had grown up fixing broken machines that barely worked, yet here was technology that seemed alive, responsive, and intelligent. He reached out again, and the interface responded with a series of soft chimes. The humans watched him closely but without judgment, letting him explore at his own pace. "Your father would have been proud," Captain Alina said quietly. Kelvar flinched. She didn't know him, yet her words felt right. Somehow, humans had a way of understanding, of seeing the potential in others. He remembered the day his father had shown him a broken drone, and with nothing but patience and clever thinking, fixed it in minutes. He always believed machines could tell you what to do if you knew how to listen, Kelvar said. He tried to teach me. Captain Alina nodded. Humans believe that too. Technology is a tool, yes, but it's also a partner. You treat it with respect and it will respond. Kelvar's mind raced. He could feel it, the spark of possibility, of a life beyond the narrow streets of Drellin. He could be part of something bigger, something meaningful. For the first time, he didn't feel poor, small, or invisible. He felt alive. The city outside was still buzzing, still full of the ordinary chaos of alien life. But aboard the human ship, Kelvar found a quiet space where he could dream. He touched another panel and a projection of the nearby star system appeared, showing planets, moons, and asteroid belts with precise detail. He gasped softly. "This is incredible," he whispered. Captain Alina smiled. "It is. And it can be even more incredible if you're willing to learn." Kelvar glanced at the holographic display, then back at the humans. He felt a thrill of courage rising within him. He had been a poor engineer, living a small life in a crowded alien city. But now, there was a chance to follow in his father's footsteps, to explore the stars, to understand human technology, and perhaps to honor his father's memory. He whispered again, almost to himself, but with conviction this time. "I'll see it through. I'll learn. I'll honor you, Father." And as he stood there on the deck of the human ship, Kelvar realized something astonishing. This was the beginning of a new life. A life full of curiosity, adventure, and the promise that even someone born poor and overlooked could witness greatness and be inspired to rise. The humans looked at him, waiting, and for the first time Kelvar didn't feel fear. He felt hope. Outside, the sun began to set over Drellin, casting long shadows across the city. But inside the ship, a new light shone, soft, blue, and full of possibility. Kelvar took a deep breath and stepped forward, ready to discover the universe one lesson at a time. And somewhere deep in his heart, he whispered once more, "Maybe, just maybe, I'll finish what you started, Father." Kelvar could hardly sleep that night. The excitement of stepping aboard a human ship, of touching technology far beyond anything he had ever imagined, refused to leave his mind. Every moment replayed vividly. The soft hum of the ship, the glow of the holographic panels, and Captain Alina's calm, encouraging voice. He had dreamed of this day for years, and now it was real. The next morning, the humans invited Kelvar to join them for their first inspection of the city's energy grid. The city's power network was ancient and inefficient, barely enough to keep the crystal towers illuminated. Kelvar had spent years repairing minor faults, but he had never imagined that he could see the system from the perspective of a human engineer. You will see things differently today, Captain Alina said as they walked through the ship's ramp. Humans approach problems in ways most species do not. We look for patterns, not just parts. We adapt what we have, not just build new machines. Kelvar nodded, eager to learn. His hands itched to touch the instruments to understand how humans thought. The human ship's hovering engines lifted them silently above the city's energy plant. Kelvar's eyes widened as he looked at the massive network of cables and conduits, stretching like veins across the city. Normally, he would have only seen isolated faults, small sparks, and leaking conduits. Now he could see the entire system as a whole. "Watch closely," said Alina. "Humans don't just fix what is broken. We look at the system as a living entity. You will learn to do the same." Kelvar studied the panels and the holographic displays, noting every connection, every flow of energy. He had worked with circuits before, but humans had a method he had never seen: intuition combined with logic. It was almost as if the system itself spoke to them, guiding their hands and decisions. "Can I try?" Kelvar asked. Alina smiled. "Go ahead, touch the interface, feel the flow." Kelvar placed his hands on the glowing holographic panels. Immediately, the network displayed warnings, efficiencies, and opportunities for improvement. Kelvar instinctively followed the patterns, moving sections here and there, adjusting conduits, rerouting power. The humans watched, quietly impressed. "Remarkable," one crew member murmured. "He reads it naturally." Kelvar's heart pounded. He had never felt so alive. For the first time, he realized that his poverty, his lack of formal training, did not limit him. His mind and curiosity were enough. Hours passed as Kelvar and the humans worked together, finding problems that had gone unnoticed for years. By the end of the day, the city's power network hummed smoothly, more efficient than anyone had imagined. Lights that had flickered for decades shone steadily. People looked up, amazed, murmuring about the humans and the strange alien boy who seemed to understand their technology. Kelvar felt a swell of pride, but also humility. He had learned that humans didn't rely on brute force or wealth. They relied on observation, logic, and creativity. Even the poorest alien like him could make a difference when inspired by their methods. That evening, as the humans prepared to depart for their next inspection, Kelvar lingered on the ship's deck. The city stretched below, glowing in the warm light of stabilized energy. "You did well today," Alina said quietly, standing beside him. "Most beings would have been overwhelmed. You adapted." Kelvar looked at her, feeling a mixture of gratitude and awe. It feels different," he admitted. "I've repaired machines before, but this feels alive, like it responds to your mind, not just your hands." Alina nodded. "That is how humans see technology. It is not a tool alone. It is a partner. We learn from it and it learns from us." Kelvar thought of his father. He remembered the stories of human explorers and the quiet confidence they carried. Now he understood. Humans were not simply advanced, they were ingenious. They solved problems in ways others could not imagine, and they inspired others to rise. Over the next few days, Kelvar joined the human crew on more missions within the city and nearby asteroid fields. Each experience opened his mind. He saw humans analyze data in ways he could barely describe, using logic, intuition, and creativity all at once. They repaired old mining machines in hours, rerouted energy flows in minutes, and solved problems that the city engineers had deemed impossible. One day, while exploring a damaged section of the city's outer conduits, Kelvar accidentally triggered a small power surge. He froze, expecting an angry reaction. Instead, one of the human engineers laughed softly. "Mistakes are part of learning," she said. "Don't fear them. Observe, correct, and move forward. That is how humans progress." Kelvar realized she was right. For years, he had been afraid of making errors. Poverty had forced him to be careful, cautious, and timid. But humans approached challenges differently. They saw mistakes as opportunities. Inspired, Kelvar began to experiment more boldly, finding solutions no one had imagined. The crew began to trust him more. Captain Alina often asked for his input, valuing his perspective. Kelvar felt a strange joy. He was no longer invisible. He was a member of a team, contributing to something greater than himself. One evening, as the crew prepared to leave Drellin for a distant asteroid, Kelvar lingered near the ship's railing, staring at the stars. The humans noticed his quiet reflection. "You're thinking about your father again," Alina said softly. Kelvar nodded, a lump in his throat. He wanted to explore, to see the stars. He believed in humans, in their ingenuity. "I always felt I could never live up to that." "You can," Alina said firmly. "Not because you mimic him, but because you are willing to learn and adapt. Humans inspire others not by being perfect, but by showing what is possible. You have that spark." Kelvar swallowed hard, overwhelmed by emotion. He had always felt the weight of his father's absence, a shadow that reminded him of his limits. But now, seeing the humans, feeling their respect and guidance, he realized that limits were only boundaries to challenge, not walls to confine him. The next mission took them to a small asteroid belt near the city, rich with untapped minerals. Kelvar had never ventured outside the city before, and the view was breathtaking. Endless rocks floated in the black sky, glinting with the light of distant stars. The humans navigated the asteroid field with calm precision, adjusting thrusters and shields instinctively. Kelvar's heart raced as he realized the difference between human and alien engineering. Humans did not overpower obstacles. They worked with them, using logic, observation, and adaptation. During the mission, Kelvar spotted a broken drone trapped between two asteroids. It was similar to the ones he had repaired countless times in the city, but this one was larger, more complex. Without thinking, he guided the human crew to help him extract it safely. The ship's interface responded to his commands, adjusting shields and gravity fields to protect them. When the drone was free, the humans looked at him with impressed smiles. "You see patterns others cannot," Alina said. "You understand how to work with technology, not just fix it. That is rare." Kelvar felt a warmth he had never known. It was not pride or arrogance. It was the quiet thrill of belonging, of being recognized for his skill and potential. He remembered his father's words about patience, observation, and respect for machines. Now he understood. Humans lived those principles every day, and by learning from them, he could carry that legacy forward. As the day ended, the ship returned to the city. Kelvar stood at the deck, looking down at the glittering lights below. He felt small, yet limitless. Humans had shown him that greatness was not born of wealth, strength, or status, but of curiosity, courage, and the willingness to rise to challenges. He whispered softly to himself, feeling the memory of his father in every word. "I will honor you. I will learn. I will see the stars." Captain Alina watched him quietly. She did not need to speak. She knew he understood. Humans inspired others not through fear or dominance, but through ingenuity, adaptability, and empathy. Kelvar had already begun to carry that spark within him. That night, aboard the human ship, Kelvar slept under the stars he had only ever dreamed of seeing. His dreams were filled not with poverty or failure, but with possibilities, machines to master, stars to explore, and a legacy to fulfill. And somewhere deep inside, he felt a new determination. He would not just witness human ingenuity, he would become part of it. He would rise, not just for himself, but for the father who had dreamed, and for the humans who had shown him the way. Kelvar woke to the soft hum of the human ship's engines. The stars stretched endlessly outside the viewport, bright and distant, more beautiful than anything he had ever imagined. For the first time in his life, he felt that the universe was not unreachable. It was within his grasp. "Ready for today's mission?" Captain Alina's voice called softly. Kelvar sat up quickly. His heart pounded with excitement and nervousness. Today, they were leaving the safety of Drellin's orbit to explore a nearby asteroid belt. It was dangerous territory, filled with tumbling rocks, unstable gravity pockets, and hidden mineral deposits. Humans navigated it with skill, but Kelvar knew that for a newcomer, even small errors could have serious consequences. I'm ready, Kelvar said, his voice firm despite the nerves twisting in his stomach. Elena smiled. Good. Remember, the key is observation and adaptation. Humans do not force their will on the universe. We work with it. Watch, learn, and trust yourself. Kelvar nodded. He had spent days learning from humans, absorbing their methods and mindset. He had seen how they approached problems, how they solved challenges calmly, using logic, creativity, and teamwork. Now, it was his turn to apply what he had learned. The ship slipped silently into the asteroid belt. Kelvar pressed himself against the viewport, marveling at the massive rocks floating in the void. Some were small, like pebbles, while others were enormous, casting long shadows over their neighbors. The ship's navigation systems glowed softly, highlighting safe paths, unstable areas, and potential mineral-rich zones. Keep an eye on the readings, Elena instructed. I want you to spot anything unusual. Kelvar focused. At first, it felt overwhelming, the constant motion of asteroids, the shifting gravitational fields, but he remembered what he had learned. Observe, analyze, adapt. He tracked a small cluster of asteroids moving unpredictably, noting their paths and potential collision points. The humans watched quietly, letting him take the lead on observation. Good, Elena said after a few minutes. You are seeing patterns others would miss. A sense of pride and confidence surged through Kelvar. For the first time, he felt that he was not just an observer or a follower. He was capable. He could contribute, think, and act. Suddenly, a faint warning flashed across the holographic display. A large asteroid was shifting faster than predicted, heading toward their ship's path. Kelvar's heart jumped. Without thinking, he calculated the trajectory and pointed out a safe course to Elena. Adjust shield slightly and increase lateral thrust by 10%, he instructed, his voice steady. Elena's eyes widened slightly in surprise. You're right. Good catch. She quickly followed his suggestion, and the ship glided past the asteroid safely. Kelvar's hands shook with excitement. He had saved them. See, Elena said after a moment, placing a hand on his shoulder. This is what humans do. We stay calm, observe, and adapt. You just did the same. That is what makes humans remarkable. Kelvar smiled, feeling a rush of belonging. Humans were not just explorers or engineers. They were thinkers, problem solvers, and teachers. And now, he was one of them. The ship continued deeper into the asteroid belt, searching for a small mining station abandoned decades ago. The station contained valuable minerals, but it was fragile and unstable. Kelvar's instructions helped navigate safely around loose rocks, adjusting shields and thrusters with confidence he had never known. As they approached the station, they discovered a collapsed passage blocking the main chamber. The humans examined the situation, but Kelvar noticed a subtle pattern in the debris, tiny fractures and weak points that suggested a way through. I can guide you, he said. We can use the small conduits to access the chamber safely. Elena studied him, then nodded. Do it, Kelvar focused. Using the holographic interface, he directed the ship's drones to secure unstable rocks while the crew followed his instructions. The chamber opened slowly, revealing a cache of mineral-rich deposits. The humans were impressed. You have a gift for seeing solutions others overlook, Elena said quietly. Your father would be proud. Kelvar swallowed, feeling a lump in his throat. His father's voice echoed in his mind, encouraging, patient, full of hope. He realized that he was not just following in his father's footsteps. He was continuing his legacy. The crew began extracting the minerals, using human technology to stabilize and transport them. Kelvar assisted, guiding the drones and monitoring the environment. He had never felt such purpose. Every action mattered and every decision made a difference. As the operation concluded, Kelvar looked at the human crew. He saw curiosity, ingenuity, and kindness in their eyes. They respected him not because he was rich or powerful, but because he had learned, adapted, and acted. He understood then why humans were admired across the galaxy. They inspired others to rise, to learn, and to create. Kelvar, Alina said, do you see now? Humans do not dominate through strength or wealth. We succeed through thought, adaptation, and cooperation. You have learned that. You are capable. You are part of this journey now. Kelvar felt a surge of determination. He had always been poor, overlooked, and underestimated. But now he understood that greatness was not measured by wealth or status. It was measured by the willingness to learn, to adapt, and to rise to challenges. I understand, he said, and I want to continue. I want to explore, to learn, to honor my father, and to carry forward what humans have taught me. Alina smiled. Then you shall. The universe is vast and there is much to discover. We will guide you, but your curiosity and determination will take you further than we ever could alone. Kelvar's heart swelled. For the first time he felt truly free. Free from the limits of poverty, free from fear, free from doubt. He was not just an alien engineer from a small city. He was a learner, an explorer, and a part of something greater. The human ship lifted smoothly from the asteroid belt, heading into deeper space. Kelvar stood at the deck, staring at the endless stars. Each one was a possibility, a new challenge, a lesson waiting to be learned. He felt the memory of his father in every flicker of light, a quiet guidance that filled him with courage. During the journey, Kelvar noticed subtle differences in human thinking. They did not rush. They did not panic. They communicated calmly, listened carefully, and made decisions with care. Every obstacle became an opportunity to understand, adapt, and improve. Kelvar realized that this was the true lesson his father had tried to teach him, not just about machines, but about life. Days passed. Kelvar learned to operate the ship systems, navigate through asteroid fields, and repair minor malfunctions. He assisted in mapping unexplored star systems, discovering patterns in planetary orbits and asteroid movement that even seasoned humans admired. Each success built his confidence, each challenge sharpened his skills. One day they encountered a drifting, derelict ship, half buried in a dense asteroid cluster. Kelvar recognized the design immediately. It was similar to the one his father had traveled in years ago. His hands trembled. Is that?" he whispered. Alina approached and looked at the ship. "Possibly, we can investigate carefully. Are you ready?" Kelvar nodded, determination burning in his chest. "I am." Inside the derelict vessel, Kelvar explored every corridor, guided by the human's calm expertise. He found fragments of logs, old engineering notes, and the faint hum of remaining power cells. One log contained his father's handwriting. Kelvar's eyes filled with tears. He made it this far," Kelvar whispered. He tried to explore, to learn, just like I am now." Alina placed a reassuring hand on his shoulder. "And now you continue. His legacy lives through you, Kelvar. Your courage, curiosity, and skill honor him, and humans are proud to have you with us." Kelvar smiled through tears. He felt a profound connection, not just to his father, but to humanity, to exploration, and to the future. He understood that humans did not just build ships or solve problems. They inspired others to rise above limitations, to reach for the stars, and to act with ingenuity and compassion. When they returned to the ship, Kelvar stood at the deck once more. The stars stretched infinitely, full of promise. He whispered softly, "I will finish what you started, Father. I will learn, I will rise, and I will explore the universe with humanity's lessons in my heart." Captain Alina watched him, smiling proudly. "That is what humans inspire, and now, Kelvar, you are part of that inspiration." As the ship sailed into deeper space, Kelvar no longer felt small or poor. He had learned, adapted, and grown. He had witnessed human ingenuity and absorbed its lessons. He was ready to explore the stars, to discover, to learn, and to honor the legacy of those who had dared before him. The universe was vast, but Kelvar felt limitless. Humans had shown him the way, not through force, but through intellect, creativity, and compassion. And now he would carry that light forward, a bridge between species, a testament to the power of curiosity, courage, and human inspiration. For the first time, Kelvar smiled fully, knowing that he was exactly where he was meant to be, among the stars, with humans as his guides, ready to rise, ready to learn, and ready to become more than he had ever dreamed.